Hey, you're at Steve Tech. In this episode, I'm going to show you about why you need to check every single thing. Does not matter if the cylinder head is brand new from GM, from Dart, from Brodix. I don't care who it's from. You want to check this stuff because we're assembling, and that's exactly what we do on every one of these things. So this is a brand new Dart cylinder head right here. I'm going to show you exactly what's going on that we found just out of the box. Okay, now we're at the cylinder head, and what I'm going to show you is, we'll zoom in here. We always lap in as we're putting new valves in. Sorry about that. As we're putting new valves in, and we want to check the valve job that they've already done. Sometimes we'll cut different valve job with different angles and stuff. We're not talking about angles and all that right now. We're actually just talking about physically making the right contact on the valve. As you can see here, we lap this, and what lapping means is we take a little bit of compound, this little bit of lapping compound right here, and you put just a little dab of this. Basically, it's a gritty solution. You put it on the valve. You go in, go like this, take it out, and what that does is it takes off the die that you see right there. You can see where this valve was hitting, and if it was hitting all the way around, if it's concentric. Very quick, easy way of verifying where you're at. But what we found in this particular application is that, I'll show you the valve seat. You can actually see right there that the valve job, where it was actually touching at, is way high. It's way up here. Okay? Which means the valve job itself was cut too small for the valve that they recommend. This is the proper size valve that they recommend. This is some nitrided valves that we use, that we have available on our website, but this is the correct valve for this valve job, and they just missed it. Not by much. I mean, this would run perfectly fine and seal up, but it's still not right. So we're going to go in here now so we can cut this, and we'll show you that. We'll just go over to the next chamber, and this is our seat cutter, and I'll pull back away from this, and we will show you how this gets cut. We'll then relap it all at the same time and show you what the proper, what it's supposed to look like. Not like this, but it moves down closer to the edge of the valve. This is called the margin right here, margin of the valve. This, the flat area right here, that's called margin, and we need to move closer down to the margin so that the valve job seats properly, transfers heat properly into the valve. The exhaust valve and intake valve basically the same. Exhaust valve will be a little bit wider seat margin or seat than what this is. They also have a wider margin, all for heat. And so we'll show you how this gets cut. We'll show you what it looks like when it's all done, what it's supposed to be. So when somebody is cutting a valve job, or they talk about doing cutting the valve seats, this is exactly what they're talking about, or it was what they should be talking about. This is a fairly high-end machine, a Rottler machine. Other people have some different stuff, and that's all fine. And let that spark out, which just means that we're making sure that it leaves a final finish on it. And what we'll do is I'll show you, and we'll start out with another new valve for the lapping. So I take it out. Now I'll show you what the seat looks like. That and Dylan's forearm. So that is now what our... So we just cut that seat. It used to be all die-chemmed up, just like this. This is die-chem. That the pink is die-chem. So that's what it looks like now. You can see in there the valve angle, the 45 degrees. So there's multiple angles on here. Like I said, we're not going to talk about these angles right now. That's not super critical, because what we're really wanting to get across is this is why you just don't put box stock to get stuff together. The vast majority of the cheap engines out there, they're really cheap, inexpensive, a deal, whatever you want to say. they're just throwing stuff together and it's not right. So it takes time, it takes machine work. We've already resurfaced this cylinder head. We talked to you about that in the other video about surface finish, that they're not flat most of the time when they come from the factories, from being new. You know, so we always put a resurface, just give it a little bit of haircut, we call it. That's already been done to this, and now we're touching up the valve job. So what I'll do is I'll back up here and we'll have Dylan lap that in. He'll put a little bit of grinding compound on the valve there. You can just see it. There we go. Now he's going to put that in. You can hear the grit. And all that's doing is, we know that our seat is, all the angles are correct. So actually what we're doing is we're verifying where it is on the valve, and we're verifying that it's concentric and all the way around. This is the best way of doing it. This machine also has a vacuum checker, and we could check it after we're done with the exhaust valves too, to make sure that the ports are not leaking or anything. So we'll wipe off this valve, and we'll show you the valve now. Look at this. Now you can see the difference. The shiny is higher towards that side over here. You can see the shiny. There's just a very thin, about 10 thousandths or so of shiny on this edge, but that's your valve seat area right there. That's where it's open at. So what we've actually done in this whole thing is we've made everything concentric, we've put it in the proper location on the valve, and all at the same time we've actually opened up this valve throat area. This valve seat area is now bigger than what it was. So just interesting thing to know, and why we do what we do here, and what you should be looking at doing as you're building your own engines. So anyways, I'm Steve Morris, Steve Tech.